Hello fellow cinephiles, Film Guru here. Today I'm reviewing Birds of Prey and the Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. This was directed by Cathy Yan and stars Margot Robbie, Rosie Perez, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Jaruni Smelton-Bell, Ella J. Basco and Ewan McGregor. This film really looks at Harley Quinn after she splits with the Joker and subsequently joins superheroes Black Canary, Huntress and Renee Montoya to save a young girl from evil crime lord. The film takes place not too long after Suicide Squad, and it looks at Harley Quinn. She's not with the Joker anymore, and she's trying to find herself and trying to stand on her own 2 feet and find out where she fits into this world now. And without him in her life and the protection of him, she's ultimately a target for everybody her and the Joker have ever wronged. And it's really about her navigating through all of this. And along the way, she meets a variety of colourful characters and ultimately meets the women who will become Birds of Prey. This was the type of film you weren't sure what to expect from it. I was a fan of the Harley Quinn character in Suicide Squad, and she really was the best part of that film. So I was excited in a way to see the evolution of that character and what they would do with her next. And then this is kind of interesting. They take her away from everything she's ever known and her trying to find a way in the world. I really liked that. I thought that was an interesting way to tackle the character and give her a bit more depth and a bit more understanding of who she is. Ultimately, the film is really what it's like inside of her head. It's crazy, it's wild, it's chaotic, it's colourful, it's bizarre. And really that's what the film represents in many ways. I like too that she was really the force behind Birds of Prey, getting them together, but she's not really one to stick around with that. And I liked that. It was like she came into it, brought these people together and then moved on. I thought that was a really interesting way to sort of tackle her character. They evolved the character a little bit, but didn't change the essence of who she was. The choices that she makes are who she is. She doesn't apologise for that. That's just who she is as a person and a character. I think all the acting's pretty solid. The real standouts here, besides Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, is Mary Elizabeth Winstead's Huntress. This is a really great character, has some really great depth, and we get to see a bit about who she is in this film and a bit of her backstory. And she's a character I'd love to see a separate film of. I look forward to seeing more of these movies involving that character because I thought she was great. And Mary Elizabeth Winstead's fantastic. She's an underrated actress I've liked for a long time, and she really shines here and plays the characters a little different to the one she's played previous. The character has a lot of anger issues and doesn't really understand social norms, but she really becomes part of this group of women and ultimately starts to find her place in the world, much like Harley Quinn's. The other great character is Black Canary. I think they really capture her really well. The actress who plays her, Jaruni, I think she's a really great actress. She's fantastic in this. She encompasses tough and strong and a character you don't really want to mess with. And the actress brings so much to it and really makes it believable. And I really like that. I thought Huntress and Black Canary were the most interesting characters in this film, and I wanted to see much more of them because I thought they were so fascinating to watch. And I look forward to more Birds of Prey films with these characters because I think there's opportunity to evolve these characters into something much far more interesting. I thought Margot Robbie was solid. I think she inhabits the Harley Quinn character quite well, and she's it's like an old leather jacket that she puts on. She sort of just slips back into it, and she adds things to it and evolves it a little bit, and I kind of like that. I think she's a really smart and talented actress who's able to convey such great emotion, but I think what she's doing with this character is fantastic and really making it her own. I like some of the action sequences in the film, especially the fight sequences work really well. Just the choreography of the whole thing. I like the actresses do some of their own stunts, but there's also stunt people, and these stunt people are fantastic in what they're able to accomplish on screen. I was really blown away by what they're able to do. I think by far my favourite parts of this movie is the beginning, where it's sort of an animated sequence which we get Harley Quinn telling us a little bit about her life and her backstory and ultimately where she's been in between Suicide Squad and now, and what led to the ultimate breakup between her and Joker, which I liked. I thought that was an inventive way to go about it. In many ways it felt like it was trying to be similar to Deadpool, but it also was able to make it its own and do something different. I was entertained by it. It was a very fun and entertaining film. There was a lot going on and you really had to be paying attention because it moved very fast. And it sort of told, it wasn't a linear story, so it told it in different segments and different parts and went forward and back, and it sort of got a little complicated in parts, but ultimately it knew what it wanted to do and it was telling a simple story. For the most part, the humour worked. Not always, but when it did hit, it was really funny. And I really liked the third act because it was where we finally got to see all of the girls together, fighting together as birds of prey against Black Mask and his group of men played by Ewan McGregor. I really liked this. This sequence at the end was quite funny. There's some great action in it and fight scenes. And it just sort of added to the characters, and you got to see all of these characters in action and banding together to take down this bad guy. They were the main things I really liked about it. I didn't think it was perfect, and I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. I still enjoyed it and had a good time with it, but it was just things I didn't quite like as much about it. The tone I felt was a bit funny. It wanted to push things. It felt like it wanted to be a bit more like Deadpool, but it was sort of a bit lighter in parts than you expected. There are scenes that are quite shocking, and it just felt a bit lighter than what we usually expect from DC, and much lighter than Suicide Squad. But I guess that was maybe because of we're inside of Harley Quinn's head, and that's how she sort of sees things, maybe, I'm not sure. I thought the structure was a bit messy. The skipping back and forth, you felt a bit lost. They introduced particular sequences, and then you're left going, well, how did that character end up there after the previous scene? And then Harley Quinn will explain how people ended up there and who each of the characters are. And I just felt the back and forth lost me a little bit. When I finally got to feel for a character or connect to them, they jumped back, and then I felt disconnected again, and then I had to get back into it when they returned to the present moment. And I just thought that was a bit distracting in many ways. I don't know if it was the movie cinema I was in or the print that we had of the film, but it was so loud, like ear bleeding loud. I had to put my fingers in my ears for some of it because it was just way too loud for me. And I sound like an old man, I know, but it just felt overly loud for no apparent reason, and it didn't really add anything to it. It just made me feel disorientated and sort of disconnected from the whole thing. I just didn't know why that was happening. It could have been the cinema I was in, but yeah, it was just very loud. I didn't feel connected with a lot of the characters. Harley Quinn, yes, and Black Canary and Huntress, absolutely I feel connected to them, but that was about it. I didn't really care about many other people in the film, and I didn't feel a connection with a lot of them at all. One thing I really didn't overly like was what they did with Cassandra Cain, their interpretation of that character. For me, Cassandra Cain is one of the best Batgirls, and I think she's even better than Barbara Gordon in many ways. I liked the traditional story of her, that she was trained by her father to be an assassin. She couldn't read or write, but she was very capable of taking care of herself and quite aggressive towards people. They didn't really use that in this film. She was more of a sort of a thief. She's a catalyst for a lot of what happens and what brings the birds of prey together to ultimately protect her. But I just didn't like the choice they made with that character. Two of the biggest things I think that let this film down is the villain. Ewan McGregor's fine, does the best he can with the character he has, but it just feels over the top and ridiculous. It feels like a character from a bygone era. It's sort of a villain that you would see in the comics in the early days, or you would see in some of the early films in the late 90s and early 2000s. He just felt over the top and ridiculous. And I didn't care about him. I just found him a really dumb and pointless character. He spends the whole movie without a mask, but when he finally puts it on, it just kind of looks kind of silly and stupid. And I just think he's probably one of the worst villains. He's not menacing at all. He's as menacing as a bloody stuffed rabbit. It's really Chris Messina character that's more intimidating and should have really been the villain, or should have been what Black Mask should have been like. But overall, the most disappointing thing is it just felt like a silly comic book movie. Something we would see early in that sort of, the early Batman films and Batman and Robins and the early Spider-Man films. It just felt silly and over the top and didn't really feel like a solid comic book film. It just felt like it was a cartoon or it was a comic book, and I just felt that let it down quite a bit. I just didn't really like the way it was portrayed in that way. I think it is a fun and entertaining film. It's just too over the top, and it didn't quite know the tone it wanted, and it just felt like, it was real comic booky. I know that sounds silly because it is a comic book film, but I just mean like really comic booky. I know they were trying to make it a bit lighter, but I just don't know if it really fit well with Suicide Squad or within the DC universe that they've already created. And it's a good idea for them to try something different, but I just think this was a bit too far in the other direction. Final thoughts. Look at the heart. It's really about Harley Quinn trying to find herself, trying to find where she fits, trying to stand on her own 2 feet without the support of someone else or without the support of a partner, and just find what it is she wants and who she is as a person. It also looks at friendship. It looks at people banding together for a common cause. I'm going to give Birds of Prey, The Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, 3.5 out of 5. I thought it was fun and entertaining and a hell of a ride, but it just could have been better than it was. Anyway, that's all from me today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please subscribe down the bottom. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Otherwise, until next time, enjoy the movies.